Can Frank Castle ever hope to sever ties with the Han Ninja clan, or is he in too deep? Well, let's hop into the pages of Punisher issue number 5 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, the Punisher had decided to flee the Han's castle with his newly resurrected wife Maria, the idea being that he just could not stand what the Archpriestess had done in his name this time, mainly murdering the families of a bunch of Han Ninja grunts in hopes of recreating them in the Punisher's image. This served as a very much-needed wake-up call for Frank, who decided that he was going to slash his way out of this situation. It's also here in this issue we discover that the Hand Archpriest is the one who has been doing the internal monologues since this story began. The woman who, for all intents and purposes, is the main villain of this new series. Yeah, it turns out she's not actually human. It seems that much like the Beast, she too is some sort of horrifying lizard monster. Frank manages to cut her down, and you think the other ninjas are going to jump on in and try and avenge her, only here's the thing, they don't. They still see Frank Castle as their leader, their High Slayer, and well, if he thought the Archpriestess had to die, then he must be right, because how could the Hand of the Beast ever possibly be wrong? They just kinda let Frank and Maria go. They run off into the jungle. However, it's not long until Frank realizes that Maria can't really survive outside of Hand HQ. Her body and mind start deteriorating, but worse still, she actually ends up remembering the death of both herself and her children in the park all those many years ago. Of course, as we hear from the Archpriestess in the internal monologue, she always assumed that something like this would happen, that even the most faithful will eventually doubt and turn away from their god. After all, why do you think the most successful religions in the world all seem to be built on a bedrock of fear? Fear of damnation, fear of excommunication. And the cult of the Beast is no different. This is also just one side of the story, as once again we are treated to another, what we now know to be doctored flashback to Frank Castle's youth. This time we get treated to the adventures of Frank Castle, juvenile delinquent. It seems after burning that guy to death in his neighborhood, Frank just couldn't take the pressure and started acting out at school. One day though, he ends up stepping in and saving a kid named Stedman from a bunch of bullies. Stedman, I've never heard that name outside of Oprah's boyfriend before. In Stedman, Frank actually finds something that he's never really had before, a friend, someone who truly cares about him. Stedman knows that Frank is dealing with a lot of pent-up anger and aggression, and he thinks he knows the perfect way for him to let it all out. Pee-wee hockey. A sport that not only condones savage, goonish violence, but also encourages it. Ah, Canada's pastime. You love to see it. You know, that's why we're so nice and polite, eh? We just let it all out on the ice, and then we're cool for the rest of the day. It's while playing hockey for the Devils, which almost certainly has to be a reference for Daredevil and his big long-standing history with the Hand, that Frank would come face-to-face with a young Maria. It was basically love at first sight. Well, actually, it was something much weirder than that. Maria actually reminds him of the dead woman that spurred him into his first murder, which might seem like a weird addition, but it all makes a lot more sense when you remember that this is just the Archpriestess writing a story that she thinks will ultimately end with Frank wanting to lead the Hand. Believe it or not, Frank is actually too shy to talk to Maria. Again, isn't it funny? A guy who has no problem brutalizing people, knocking their teeth out and making them bleed is actually afraid of one thing, and that thing is talking to a girl he likes. So instead, Frank's only friend Stedman decides that he's going to play wingman for Frank. He writes down a mushy love note and gives it to Maria, and wouldn't you know it, she ends up falling head over heels in love with Frank basically instantly. Eventually, Frank starts spending all of his time with Maria, and she's able to bring out a softer, kinder, gentler side of him that he never thought possible. The one downside, though, is he actually ends up pushing Stedman away. This means Stedman has to try and find new friends, and one night he ends up hooking up with a bunch of boys from the high school as they get drunk and steal a car. That car ends up crashing somewhere on the Jersey Turnpike, and Stedman is tragically killed. Also, he doesn't die instantly or anything. He bleeds out for 4 hours as the other boys leave him behind. This horrible tragedy ends up once again awaking the Punisher side of Frank. He goes on a one-man crusade to punish all of those boys, beating them to death with his bare hands. Unlike his last murder, though, this is hard for the news and police to ignore. It ends up becoming a major story in his small town, and Frank figures he has no choice but to run away and try and join the Marines. As he leaves, he places a call to Maria, and we're not sure if he's going to break up with her or just tell her what he's doing, but ultimately she drops a bomb on him by admitting that she's pregnant. But yeah, so long story short, Frank loves his wife so much that he's willing to actually go back back to the Hand and the Archpriestess if it means that maybe she can finally live for real outside the castle walls. Punisher swears that this is going to be a short arrangement. He's only going to be doing this until his wife is strong enough to leave, and then he's going to try and kill all of them all over again, probably. Again, the Archpriestess knows what she's doing here. Yes, she's working on trying to help Maria live full time, but she's also filling her head with the doctored version of Frank's own personal history. The one that is making him more susceptible to manipulation. Also, this whole Maria problem is just one of many problems that Frank is dealing with. There's still also the followers of Ares, who choose now of all time to raid the Hand Castle. Ares himself is again filled with all sorts of pomp and circumstance, saying that he has come not just to fight the Punisher, but to free his most beloved acolyte from the control of the Hand and the Archpriestess so that he may once again do the bidding of war. Ares seeks to remind Frank who he truly is, so much to the point that instead of wearing his own skull logo, Ares has decided to adopt the Punisher's classic design. And it's on that note right there the comic comes to an end, everyone. And so that was Punisher issue number 5. And once again, I am enjoying what Jason Aaron is doing here, even if I felt this follow-up issue wasn't nearly as strong as the one that preceded it. I've made the Secret Empire comparison a number of times right now when talking about this story, and I mean, it is basically the same thing. Frank and Steve both dealt with doctored personal histories by evil supervillainesses who are trying to manipulate them and trying to make them lead classic evil villainous groups. The big difference between these stories, though, is that the whole Lady Hydra stuff with Steve Rogers and Secret Empire never really stopped being interesting, to me personally at least. I'm sure there's plenty of room for debate there. But with this doctored Frank Castle personal history stuff, now that I know this origin we're being shown here is fake and being written by the Archpriestess, I have a hard time really investing in it. Like, why am I supposed to feel bad for Stedman? Stedman never existed. I also can't really convince myself one way or another if I'm enjoying what they're doing with Maria Castle here. I know she was always something of a non-character even before this story, a symbol of what Frank lost and one of the many things that drives him to be the Punisher, yet here she seems to go back and forth between wilting flower, a prize to be earned, a carrot on a stick, something that the Archpriestess thinks will ultimately lead to Frank's downfall to the dark side. Again, maybe Aaron has something planned for later in the book. Maybe Maria will gain a chance to get some agency for herself, because right now it just feels a little uncomfortable to think about all the implications. Ultimately, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely am interested to see Frank throw down with the God of War, and I think we're gonna get all that and more in the next issue. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.